Welcome back to Fungui's Kitchen. This is Funguy the Entertainer cooking for you. Today we're going to do a beef rump roast. Now, there's a couple different ways to do, actually there's a lot of different ways to do a beef rump roast. Rump roast is not a quote-unquote high-quality cut. It's it's a less expensive cut, but it's still a good beef flavor. If it's done right, it can be a delicious roast. The thing is, you cannot cook it fast. It's a slow cooker. If you don't, you can actually use a slow cooker. We'll do one of those recipes later. But today we're going to do this in the oven. Now, you'll see that this is a nice 3.44 pound Angus boneless rump roast, beef rump roast. Now, most people, what they're going to do is they're going to, when they're done, slice it thinly this way to give them a nice long piece. The difference is, in my family, my wife almost likes her beef well done. I like mine medium to medium rare, and my brother-in-law likes his medium rare to rare. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook this so that we have all three of these, and we're going to end up slicing it this way, because obviously the smaller pieces here will be up more done. So the two ends will be my wife's, then I'll be mine, then my brother-in-law will be in the middle so he gets his more rare. The way to cook beef... Oh, hey, let's see if we have a real call or if we have a telemarketer. We have a real call, so let's put him on speakerphone. Hi, Steve. You're live on the air with Funguy's Kitchen. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Are you recording your Fun Guy show right now?
I really am, and I had the phone here ready just in case.
Oh, that's so awesome. So what are we cooking today?
Today I'm doing a beef rump roast. Actually, it's going to be a garlic beef rump roast.
Awesome. Are you pre-soaking it in any brine or anything?
No, not on this. This one here is going to be done with, we're going to make slits in the meat, which I'll explain shortly. We're going to put the garlic in the slits. We're going to cover it with olive oil and salt and pepper it, and then put it in the oven at a high temperature for a short period of time, then drop the temperature and slow cook it for about 2 hours.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that sounds really good. Unfortunately, I won't be eating that because it's meat, so I'll have to find you a vegan substitute for that.
Yes, that is true.
Did I lose you?
Nope, I said, yep, that's true.
Yep. So that's awesome. Well, I hope your viewers enjoy that. Give me a call when you're on the slow cooking.
I will certainly do that. We'll talk to you shortly. That, of course, was my partner from What Happens to the World Today, Steve. If you want to check out that show, it is What Happened to the World Today. There's a link to it on my page. So you just drop down to the more, find the link, and bingo, you're there. So that's how that works. So where I was on this is you need to take the meat out of the refrigerator at least 2 hours prior to doing this. That 2 hours brings the meat close to the room temperature. The bad part of today is we have a freak cold snap. We just went from 78 degrees to literally 40 degrees in 24 hours. So even though it's warm in the house, it's not as warm as it would be if this was, more summer-like. So this is feeling still a little cool. But you want a minimum of 2 hours. If you do 3, it's even better. Room temperature will help this tremendously. Again, like I said, we're going to be slow cooking this. And the ideal is to have the interior temperature as close to the exterior temperature as possible once you start cooking. It will make this so much easier. Now, where I was going was, normally, what we're going to do is we're going to put garlic in slits. If you're going to cut it the way most people would, to make nice, long, thin slices, you are going to want to make slices in the meat this way to stuff the garlic. Since I'm going to do it the other way, we're going to make the slits this way to stuff the garlic. So, the first thing we're going to do, of course, is open this up. You notice this, once again, from Piggly Wiggly, Stinebrink's Piggly Wiggly. There's 4 locations. The one that I use is here in Delavan. Sometimes you go to Lake Geneva because it's close. There's locations in Kenosha also. So if you're in any of those areas, that's perfect. So, like I said, since we're going to be cutting it this way, I am going to put my slits in the meat this way. You're going to want about a 1/2 inch slit to stuff with. Now, we're only going to be able to do 3 slits because of the direction we're doing this, but the slits are bigger, so we're still going to get the same amount of garlic coverage. Now, you can see in here, This looks pretty good. Make sure I have just a little bit of a gristle there. That's the other thing about this cut. There's gristle in this meat, which is why you want to cook it slow. Fast cooking keeps the gristle hard. If you slow cook, it softens the gristle, makes it more palatable. Don't you love that word, palatable? All right, I forgot to bring the garlic out, so I'm going to go grab that from the refrigerator. You notice I also have my olive oil and salt and pepper. This is an incredibly simple recipe. That's really all you need. So let me grab the garlic here. If you are doing this from scratch and using fresh garlic, you're probably going to need 2 to 4 cloves, depending on the size of the meat. Since I do a lot of cooking with Spice World squeezed garlic, it's already diced. It's in a little bit of garlic sauce. As a result, it saves a lot of time. One of my pet peeves about garlic in general is if you use a garlic press, you get the sauce. But if you use a garlic grater in order to make your shaved garlic, I keep getting my knuckles, and that just drives me insane. So by doing this, it saves a lot of time. And it is good garlic. It's not like, powdered garlic. And again, powdered garlic, if you don't have time, if you don't like this, powdered garlic will work. Obviously, the fresh garlic is the best. This would be your second best, and then the powdered would be your final choice if you just really don't have time. All right, you see I've got a lot of garlic in here, so we're good with that. Now, we're going to actually, because we want the olive oil to go in the pan. So, and actually I should have done this backwards. I should have done the fat side up. So, that's my bad. It's been a while since I've cooked one of these in the oven. I usually slow cook these. But the advantage to this is now we have extra garlic. So what I'm going to do is put more on the bottom. Mix it right in with the fat here. I think this will also give it more flavor. I'm going to go a little lighter on the garlic on the bottom here, since I put so much of it in the middle. Now, once again, this is one of those fun things. I think I mentioned this on an earlier show. When you make a mistake, you own it. It's been, when Steve called, put me in a completely different frame of mind here. But I still have the garlic out here. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Now, we only have 2 slits on the bottom, which is fine because we've got 3 on the other end. The fat side is now up, so technically this has now become the top. All right, you see how good that looks? Okay, now let me rinse this off real quick. We're going to sprinkle some olive oil over the top. Let it get into the slit here. And we're going to rub it around. Make sure you get it on the sides. What this is going to do, it's going to help brown the meat, but it's also going to help seal it so that we don't dry it out too much. I'm actually going to reach around and do it on the bottom here too. Okay, now we got plenty there. Now, once again, I have to rinse my hands. We're going to salt and pepper. I cannot remember if I mentioned that you need to preheat the oven to 500 degrees because we're going to brown this quickly. I think I said it when I was talking to Steve, but I wasn't sure if I actually said it on the show here. So now I'm going to put the pepper on first. Another thing you can do, and this is something I've done in the past, is you can mix the olive oil, salt, and pepper in a bowl and roll the meat in the bowl. But since we're stuffing the garlic, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that. So I'm also going to put pepper on the side, on what is now the bottom but was the top. The other side. We're going to do the same with the salt. Slowly but surely, this is going to seep into the meat as it's cooking. Now we'll finish this end here. I have already started the stove. I did it before I started filming because it takes a while to get it up to 500 degrees. Now, here's the plan. We're going to put this meat in the oven at 500 degrees for 20 minutes. Then we are going to drop the temperature down to 275 degrees. Leave the door closed. It'll slowly drop down to 275. And we're going to cook it for an additional hour and a half to 2.5 hours, all depending on how you like yours. Beef, to get to a rare state, is 20 minutes per pound. To get to medium rare, 25 minutes to pound. Medium, 30 minutes per pound. Medium well, which I don't recommend, especially with this cut, you'd obviously go 40 minutes a pound. So we're going to set this in here, set the timer for 20 minutes, drop the temperature down to 275 degrees, reset the timer for an hour and a half, and we'll check it at that point. And we'll come back. It's as simple as that. Okie dokie. We forgot one little thing before I logged off and put it on pause here. You need 2 cups of water to pour in the pan underneath the roast. You notice that the roast is on a rack in a pan. The reason you do that is you want air to completely circle, like a convection oven, the meat. You need the pan, obviously, to catch the drippings. The reason you use the water is to keep the drippings from burning in the pan. It would create an acid taste to the meat from the burning stuff. Not only that, if you want to make your own gravy, having the water in there with the drippings in there, you're already on your way to making a good homemade gravy. The timer is just about done. We're down to about 40 seconds, but I wanted to catch this. So what we're going to do is when the timer goes off, we're going to pull the meat out and we're going to check the temperature. The temperature for beef needs to be between 135 and 140. 135 is pushing rare, 140 is medium rare. Once you get up to 145, 150, you're more into that medium well category, which we want to avoid with this cut of meat. Actually, with most beef cuts, you don't want to go well done. You just don't. You can do well done on hamburger. You can do well done on some pork products and poultry products, but stick to medium rare on your beef products or you're going to be chewing forever. Unless, of course, you're trying to make jerky. So you heard the timer go off. I have my trusty glove and mitt here. So let's pull it out and check the temperature. All right, this is looking really, really good. Okay. Stick this dead smack in the middle. See where we're going. Now, I did we did 20 minutes at 500, dropped it down to 275, and I set the timer for 1 hour. We are at, it looks like 110 degrees. So that means we're probably going to need at least 30 more minutes. So we'll pull this out. We'll pop this back in the oven for 30 more minutes. Okay, now one other thing, have ready for when it is ready at the proper temperature. You're going to want a cutting board and you're going to want a pan underneath the cutting board. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to put the meat on the cutting board when it's at the proper temperature, and we're going to tent it with aluminum foil to keep the heat in, and we're going to want it to sit for 20 to 30 minutes. What that does is it allows the meat to reabsorb the juice to keep the meat juicy. That is very important on a roast. You want the meat to be juicy. So make sure you have aluminum foil and a cutting board and a pan ready to go. Not necessarily need the pan. If you have a cutting board that's got, the ridge around it to absorb juices, you'll be fine. But I have a flat cutting board, so I have a pan handy. All right, we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, the timer's about ready to go off. We've got about a minute. We're going to pull the roast out and check it again. I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay at this point because it's now cooking for just short of 2 full hours, which should be more than enough for a 3.44 pound roast. And then, of course, if it is good, we'll show you how to put it off to the side. It's not really a whole lot of work. And then we'll come back one more time and do the actual slicing so you can see how delicious it looks. All right, I'm going to grab my glove here. Got my mitt handy. I'm going to save time and just push stop because it only had 10 seconds to go. Let's see how this looks. Oh, that is really, really looking delicious. Okay. Let's poke this again. It's going up pretty good. Well, that's actually kind of a surprise. There's the 120. Interesting. We're only at 122 degrees. I would have expected this to be a little bit farther along than that. Yeah, see if I go down to a different area, there's the 130 that we want. Okay, let's go back up to this thick area here and double check. Okay, 130, so that's rare. All right, we have what we want. We have the rare in the middle, which is where the thick part is, and we have medium rare to medium on the ends. So we're going to consider this good. So it's a little warm, but you can do this. Put it on the pan. I will use a glove for this because that's going to be hot. Put it off to the side. And we want to tent this with aluminum foil, which I have ready already. The trick is you want to keep this warm while it's reabsorbing the juices. Oops. There we go, that's better. All right, so really, that's all there is to it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set the timer. Actually, I'll do that now. I'll set the timer for 20 minutes. You want this to sit for 20 minutes so it reabsorbs the juices, and we'll come back so you can see how it looks when it's cut. All right, be right back. All right, there goes our timer. We're on schedule here. That was 20 minutes of rest time. Let's see how it looks. Oh yeah, look at this. This is looking really good. Okay, so I have the rest of my dinner cooking here. This is going to be excellent. We're going to turn this back over, let the juices come out of the bottom that we turned to the top. It was originally the bottom, as you recall. Now, of course, since I picked it up with my fingers, I have to wash my hands real quick. I don't like having slippery fingers when I'm working with a knife. You obviously don't ever want to lose control of a knife. Okay, now remember, the whole purpose of doing the cuts this way is because we're going to be cutting this in order to do it with the different consistencies. We're going to have our medium, medium rare, and rare. So this should work out really good. Let's see how good we did on this. That's the gravy that you're hearing just finishing up. All right, so let's slice this up. Oh, this is looking really excellent. I'm liking this a lot. And I should probably do this, although this screen's catchy for most of it anyway. There's our rare here. It's excellent, but you can see it's cooked all the way on the outside. This is ideal. This came out absolutely perfect. So what we ended up doing was 20 minutes at 500 degrees, which gave us this nice crispy outside. Then we went 1 hour and checked the temperature to make sure we were at what we needed to be. Apparently we needed an additional 30 minutes. We did that extra 30 minutes and it came out exactly the way we want it. And then you let it sit, tented in the aluminum foil for 20 minutes to reabsorb the majority of the juice. You notice, see how juicy this is? This is absolutely fantastic. That's what you want to see. All right, I have the rest of my dinner cooking here also, but this is what it should look like. If it looks like this, you know you did a great job. So I look forward to putting this up on the website for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. Remember, tell your friends about us. Share, share, share. That's everything. And as you heard Steve from my other show, What Happened to the World Today, I'm co-host with Steve. He's in Las Vegas, and of course here I am in Delavan. And we put the show out 3 days a week, so check that one out also. Hope you enjoyed our show today. Once again, this is Funguy The Entertainer, cooks for you.